Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Final Whistle. Kevin Walsh alongside David Giacomino going to catch you up on all of the off-season moves that have already been made for baseball so far. A lot of pieces have fallen. Now, it wasn't the first big piece to go, but David Price got the biggest price tag to start this offseason, making $31 million a year to pitch for the Boston Red Sox. Obviously, the Red Sox have been struggling the past couple of seasons, and that's really not something that they're used to, and they know that they need to change that, and they felt that David Price was going to be the guy who could change it for them. Your initial thoughts on the signing?
If you talk about a statement, 31 million for David Price, and you talk about what he's done in the postseason. First of all, like he hasn't done much in the postseason. He came out and said, "Oh, I've been saving all my postseason wins for the Red Sox." Yeah, okay, but whatever. Still, you talk about paying this kind of a guy this amount of money. Like you want him to produce in every aspect, and it's a question mark come postseason time. But I think it was more of a need that needed to be filled more than David Price being worth $31 million, because I don't think he is worth $31 million a year.
I have to think sometimes too. The price tags come. To me, when you compare people, that's how you figure out price tags. So for David Price to make more than Clayton Kershaw, he's being overpaid. You have to understand, though, the Red Sox were not going to allow David Price to pitch for any other team. They clearly said that's going to be our guy, and they paid him made sure of it.
I think they saw that he has experience in the AL East, and that was probably a big factor in giving him this amount of money, because they could have done the same thing to Greinke. They could have done the same thing to the other guys, but they saw Price had experience, and they wanted to give him this amount of money because he can pitch in the AL East, and many people can't. We've seen pitchers come into this division and get smacked around. It's just if you have it, if you can do it or not. It's a totally different ball game.
I think that is it's definitely true. It's quite known that it's easier to pitch in the NL than the AL, having to face pitchers once every 3 innings at least. It's much easier, but I think the biggest thing here is the Red Sox could have potentially put themselves in a bit of a hole. It doesn't really feel like all their problems have now been solved by the signing of David Price.
I think they needed more than one pitcher. I would have liked to see them maybe break up that money and give it to 2 other guys.
Right.
Maybe like I wouldn't say Jeff Samardzija and Scott Kazmir, or even Johnny Cueto, someone like that.
If you turn David Price into Iwakama, I'm definitely butchering that, but who just got signed by the Dodgers from the Mariners, and Jordan Zimmerman, I like that a lot more than just having David Price, especially because as of right now, that is not someone that you can count on in the postseason. Obviously with Tampa Bay, you give him the credit. The credit that he was young. All the pressure was on him. Okay, comes back though in Toronto, and he still didn't get the job done. So it to me is definitely a question mark. But for the Red Sox and a franchise that's used to winning, they feel that they can correct those things that go wrong from the postseason with mentality and get him accustomed to winning ways come fall baseball.
And it was interesting to see that they gave a pitcher this amount of money, because we saw last offseason they didn't want to pay John Lester. They lowballed him, and he was very mad about that. So he was like, you know what, I'm going to leave. Mm-hmm. So he went and left. And to see him come around this offseason and say, all right, we don't want to make that same mistake and maybe overpay for David Price, it brings up some question marks.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, credit to the Red Sox. Constantly, we break down the moves. Oh, did you spend the right amount of money? Let's see here. Not coming out of my pocket, not coming out of your pocket, not coming out of Red Sox fans' pocket. They have the money to spend to get a guy like David Price, and they did that. And you have to give them the credit, because for that type of franchise, Red Sox are up there with the Yankees and the Cardinals of baseball, or the Dodgers. You can't accept losing. You can't present losing baseball to your fans, especially not on a consistent basis, because now the Red Sox have been bad for consecutive seasons. They really needed to right the ship, and this is definitely the step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think they got pieces in hitting that they can potentially do something, but we saw all of last season they had no pitching whatsoever, and they were lacking that ace, and they thought Rick Barcelo was going to be that guy, but boy, were they wrong. But I think they wanted a guy to come in, step in, like they be the kind of guy that David Price can be, and we'll see if the money pays off for it.
We definitely will find out, but David Price is now a Red Sox.